My name's Don.
And I'm Peter.
And we are two plebs talking about... California.
This week in the DPRC.
And we're going to go full retard. This probably would have been a great story for yesterday, but it's happening in California.
Right.
So, once again, and for those that don't know, this is actually an annual story. It happens here basically every single year. We're suggesting we should ban fireworks.
Yes.
From, specifically, the 4th of July.
Well, it's the only time we have fireworks.
Well, you gotta understand that there are some non-specific places where you can, at other points, get fireworks for other reasons.
Right. Well, certain celebrations, believe me, I've seen schools launch them off during multiple occasions throughout the year.
Right.
But they require special permitting and blah, blah, blah. Right.
And
the average person only has access to these things for 7 glorious days once a year.
Right. And so we're once again at the point where, unsurprisingly, the Sacramento Bee has published an article that goes, "Well, California lights on fire, and 80% of the fires on the 4th of July are from fireworks," which you'll notice is one of them there, yes, aggravated statistics. Very, very specific laser-like claim in there.
Yes.
Of the fires on the 4th of July. Well, okay. Probably.
The day that accidental fires are more likely to happen because of the use of fireworks.
Right. And because California lights on fire, this means we should ban fireworks. Well, specifically on the 4th of July.
Well, California's on fire right now.
California's always on fire.
Apparently.
If the next ice age rolled in tomorrow, there would be a little smoldering Sierra Nevada mountain underneath all the snow.
We would still be the Golden State. Golden from firelight.
Right. In fact, that's really why we're the Golden State.
So, I mean, it's a problem that we have had for ages.
Oh, it was a problem that we had in 1600. Just no one was here.
As I said, for ages.
Right.
Because all it takes is one lightning strike and boom, California's on fire.
Which basically happens every single year.
Right. So,
well, okay, to be fair, every couple of years.
Right. But the issue being is that if we did fire preventative stuff in those areas, it's still going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, if we did brush removal every single year, diligently, there's still trees out there. There's still shrubbery that's, not dead and need to be cleared out.
Right.
Unless we turned it into a fucking desert, flatland soil, it's going to catch fire and burn. Because someone's going to be careless with the fire, a lightning strike's going to happen.
You know, what's funny about that is that the desert burns too, right?
It does.
Yeah, this is the thing, because I've heard very similar suggestions throughout most of my life, right? Just, but, if we got rid of all the things and stuff, like, you ever been out in the middle of the desert? Yes, we have tumbleweeds in California, amazingly, despite that no one would ever admit it. And they all pile up, and they sit there for a while, and they light on fire.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah, so... even if we did turn it to just bare earth, something would still decide to grow.
Right.
It could catch on fire.
Exactly. But despite that California has been predisposed to burn since...
forever.
5 seconds after Pangea separated. Doesn't matter. Ban fireworks because that will solve the problem somehow.
No. We are burning before the 4th of July. We're going to continue to burn after the 4th of July. The 4th of July is going to be inconsequential by comparison to the amount of burning that's going on.
But 84% of fires, Peter?
Suck a dick. Irrelevant. Irrelevancies.
84% of fires.
Irrelevancy.
And do you know why it's extra irrelevant? Because if you have a kitchen fire, right, and there was a firework within 100 yards, chances are good it's getting blamed on the firework in this state, because that's how we do things. But more importantly, even if it's not something that ridiculous, if there is a bush in your front yard that is dead and a spark lands on it and burns a little bit, and anyone reports that to the cops, even if you just went over with a hose and went, psh, fuck that thing.
Right.
That's a fire that happened.
Yes.
Because of a firework.
Right.
So, let's be terrified about that.
We're terrified about everything here.
That is true. That is true. We are terrified of everything.
Except about undocumented guests.
Maybe we should give them fireworks.
Tell you what, those undocumented guests love fireworks too.
Yeah, they do.
You would be depriving these, at-risk peoples of having a good time by depriving them of fireworks.
That's what's going to happen here in the end, right? Is we're going to ban fireworks for citizens, but non-citizens will be allowed to have fireworks.
Right. They'll just hop over the other border and buy them out of state and then hop back over. We know they know how to hop a border.
That is... Look, I live decently far in Northern California for a good portion of my life. And I knew people from fairly far north that would drive the entire length of the state into Mexico and come back with a truckload of that shit every year.
Yeah. So, why? Because they would sell it and make, at least quadruple their money.
Oh, yeah. You sell 2/3, 3/4 of it. You have a giant fireworks show, and you got paid $10,000 to do it.
Yeah.
And that was 20 years ago. I can only assume it is more money now.
Right.
So, but with our tame bitch fireworks, because as I'm sure nobody knows, we have banned boatloads of fireworks over the years. California, that's what we do, is ban things. And so, even with our tame bitch fireworks, this is too dangerous, right? And I know, I've said this comes out every year, and it does.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, if we get the next new progressive government, I'm thinking maybe next year or the year after, we might actually get some good fireworks banning.
Yeah.
And it'll be only, if you have a state-approved license and have gone through a background check and a class, then you can get only very specific fireworks.
Like smoke bombs.
Probably not even them, because we banned those in the 90s.
Smoke bombs are still available.
We banned them in the 90s. It hasn't been enforced since, 2004, but there is already a law in the books banning smoke bombs.
Bam. Gotcha.
So, I don't know, because I remember when I was a kid, I went to go get some one year, and they were like, no, they banned them. And I was like, what? And they were like, yeah, because people were doing something with them or something. And I went, are you kidding me?
No, they're not kidding.
So...
Well, they're back.
Yeah. And this tends to be what happens in California. But, hey, whatever. Anyway, so the awesomeness of this is that I know that they're really not going after any of the stupid shit that happens around here. Like, you can't have a gay pride march in the middle of Frisco without someone throwing firecrackers.
Right.
And someone's answer is going to be like, well, but Don, we already banned firecrackers. And you're right, we did.
We did.
And yet, this goes on every single year, and no one gives a shit.
And I never hear of people getting busted for it.
No. Right. Not in forever. There used to be a time.
Yeah.
But that time is dead. Right? So, it's not after any of this shit, but if you like the United States, if you want to celebrate the founding of the country, which, okay, I will be fair and grant that half the country probably doesn't know that's what July 4th is about, but if that's what you want to do, go fuck yourself.
Right.
Even if you tangentially are celebrating the day because you're celebrating on the day and have no idea why, that's too much.
Right.
So... That's nice.
Well, California wants to be out of the Union anyway, so it kind of makes sense they'd have that mentality of fuck the 4th of July.
That is true. That is true.
They're getting ready to plan when their independence from the United States.
Oh, is that what it is? Like, we're gonna move this 4th of July thing down the holiday.
So now they're trying to get everybody prepared for the fact that we don't celebrate the 4th of July anymore because we're not part of the U.S.
Right.
That's no longer a day for us.
We don't celebrate with fireworks. We snap.
We snap. We use little poppers, little snappers, and glow sticks.
Yeah.
We do little raves with glow sticks and poppers.
Well, poppers are probably triggering. Come on now, but glow sticks, yeah, probably
glow sticks and kazoos.
There we go.
Yeah.
Glow sticks and kazoos, and hula hoops. because this is going to be the state of children if it breaks away from fucking the United States.
Right.
And it's going to happen in 5 minutes. So, that'll be great.
That'll be great.
On the subject of destroying the state, as it is invariably going to do, we have decided that we're going to move to, or rather, okay, to be fair, we haven't decided. The bill is just coming up and gaining traction. And again, think of what's about to happen with
California.
the election. This is coming.
It's California. This is coming.
So we resubmitted a bill because we had one previously, right?
Right.
That said we are going to make 100% of our energy from 100% renewable sources.
Yes.
Because things.
Right.
And I know. Don't, global warming. Look, stop it. Stop it right now. This state needs to do fucking nothing. And it never has. Once again, build giant filters in LA. Everything else, stop it. Because we've been hippies here since before there were hippies. So, stop it. I guess that's not fair. It's when there were hippies that this state turned into a meteor of crap. But look, they think that we're going to get all of our energy from geothermal, hydroelectric, and windmills.
No solar?
Well, not for statewide power, right? No. So you at your house, you buy solar panels. The state, not so much.
Well, I mean, they're making solar panels mandatory on all new homes, so...
Yeah.
And they're giving out the rebates, which makes it pretty close to free to getting solar put on. So they just expect everybody to do the solar thing.
Well, yeah, sure.
For them.
Well, the rebate's are iffy. But, no, for powering the state, which, by the way, is, I don't know, Google, right, is going to need to buy this power regardless. And the one thing that is universally true about all this clean energy is that it's more expensive. And you can whine and bitch and moan and give me, but in 50 years it's 100% renewable. All you want, it's still more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for those that don't remember, in a land far, far away, in a time long, long ago, 4 years ago,
right,
a non-specific president of ours, well, I guess it was more like 6, non-specific president of ours said, I'm just going to double all of your energy bills because we're doing all of this green shit.
Right.
And by the way, this is why your power bill is still more expensive than it was 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, okay, inflation's in there somewhere. But it went going up, going up, going up, going up, going up.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. So what do you think is going to happen when California goes, all of the energy in the state has to come from green-only shit?
The prices are going to skyrocket.
Dun, 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 dun.
Because if one thing California is good at is finding new ways to take your money.
Oh, yeah. And, by the way, we already, right now, every single summer, have rolling brownouts.
We do. And you would think that they would try to find some method of making energy production cheaper. Because we're always crying about how we have so many homeless because our cost of living is too high.
Well, yeah.
Why would they do something to increase our cost of living?
Well, because that doesn't matter right now, right?
Obviously.
This is you can only charge in one progressive direction at a time. And the world's going to end unless California moves to 100% renewable energy. That's one very important direction. And rent control, we'll talk about that tomorrow.
Right.
And so, this is what you end up with, right? Now, look, I can't wait until, because this happened, right, in 2009 or something like that. Maybe 2002. Been quite a while back.
Right.
But it's happened quite a few times since then. Intel in Sacramento
mm-hmm.
has their own giant generators, right?
Right.
In case the power goes out, because they, need power.
Right.
And so
it's a tech company. They use power.
even then, we were doing all of this bullshit about, tone down coal output and all this other crap, right? And so the state went to Intel and said, we can't power the lines. Could you turn on all of those gas generators and power Sacramento?
Oh, you're kidding me.
And Intel went, yeah, sure. Because they can generate enough power to ease the strain on the grid in at least Sacramento, and that is what Sacramento cares about, right?
Right.
For, the rolling brownouts that we were having at the time. And they've done it 3 or 4 times since, and they do it to every major corporation that has these giant backup generators. They call them out and like, you guys always make those things bigger than they need to be. Can you just turn all of them on and we can get the power from them? We won't fine you, please.
Something.
And they all go, yeah, I guess. So we'll have slightly greener power, even though we won't, right? Throughout the state because of this stupid bill. Power bills will go up everywhere. And every single summer, they're going to have all the corporations with backup generators flick them on so that we can power the state off gasoline.
Diesel.
Well, yes. Okay, to be fair, it's diesel. That's not any better.
Not really, but petroleum product.
Right.
Yes.
Now,
fossil fuels.
Complain about coal all you want. Big giant generator that is only meant to run for a couple of hours until power comes back on and, has no interest in being green or clean or any of that shit.
Okay. To be fair, when someone has a backup generator, they usually have it stockpiled to be able to go for several days.
Right. Well, it depends on who you're talking about. But the premise is that ideally it will only ever run for a couple of hours, right?
Right.
So that way you could, if there was some sort of small blackout or brownout, you would not care. And this is what these things were built for. Yes, they are generally built to go much longer than that, but this is the premise that they're always argued for in the corporate world.
Right.
And California, despite its crazy hippiness, has often been like, well, okay, I guess you can have one of those. You're only going to run for a couple of hours at any given time anyway until we get the power back up, right? And they go, yeah, it's
just a backup generator.
Right.
It's to ensure that we can continue doing business when you fuck shit up.
Yeah. And so...
Oh. Okay, that would be unfair.
That would be completely fair.
It's not always them fucking up. It's somebody else fucking up by running into a power box.
It's, that's rarely the issue. But anyway. So, I would note that for everything we've talked about here, there is one word that has not been mentioned even once.
What's that?
Nuclear.
Well, of course not. That's not renewable.
It effectively is.
No, that's not green energy. Nuclear is bad.
Oh, now
that's radiation contamination. There's nothing good associated with that. That's not renewable energy.
Now,
that's not green
if
energy.
You want to argue the term renewable, I have to say effectively. If you want to argue green, I'm going to come at that shit full bore. That's green as fuck.
I know. I'm well aware. And the different nuclear plant types, which could all very safely run and all that good stuff. Like, no, we don't want to look at it.
Right.
Because the moment we're like, well, how about maybe going nuclear? Fukushima, no! Chernobyl, no!
Exactly. But I say it all the time. Davis still has a giant sign when you enter Davis that says, nuclear-free zone.
I know it does. and what they probably don't want anybody to know is that we get a lot of our power subsidized from out of state where they do.
Right.
So, no, you're not a nuclear-free zone.
Whether you intend to be or not.
Whether you intend to be or not. You don't have a nuclear reactor in your area, but some of the power you ship in from out of state is.
So this is the deal, right? So if they turn this bill on and it becomes law, not anymore, right? That's the idea, is we're going to go clip all those external lines. And unless it comes from Hoover Dam, then we don't get any of that.
We're never going to clip those lines.
Okay, we're not going to clip them. We're just going to deactivate them.
We're going to say that we're not using them anymore. And when something goes wrong with our green energy system because it isn't capable of producing enough energy, we will start using those lines and not tell anybody about it.
Yeah. That seems very California. I will grant you that. But
nothing to see over here, citizen. Move along.
Right. Though, Even that actually might be illegal. Depends on how this pans out after it gets.
No. The state's not going to make. The state's not going to make how it's going to run stuff illegal. Because it will be pulling the power from out of state to provide to the state.
Well, so this is the problem, right? Because the municipalities are what controls the power, right?
Yeah.
With the exception of PG&E, it's your local municipalities. So if it's state law, it don't matter if the state that is like, well, just do it. The municipalities are gonna be like, I can't.
You made a law says I can't do it, so no.
Right.
My people are roasting here because you put in a law.
Right.
Fucker.
And so, I can't wait for, it's going to be probably 2 or 3 years, right? Because it's going to need to actually make it through the state assembly and the Senate and all that, and get approved. And then probably Newsom, let's not kid ourselves, is going to be like, green energy things, I sign. So,
and honestly, I mean, I'm not opposed to finding some sort of alternate energy source to a fossil fuel. I mean, I like the idea, just as long as it doesn't ruin everything else while you're going about it.
Well, there's simply no way to do that. It ruins everything, and it always has.
You know, I mean, because I remember being romanticized from my old mangas, you know, watching Appleseed or something like. Basically, Masamune Shirow was one very big on this, where, you know, he would draw this giant cityscape and you see solar panels everywhere and on just about every single building and stuff like that. I'm like, it looks so beautiful, but I'm like, it's probably not very practical.
And that's the end of our show for the day.
That's right, it's taco time.
However, before we go, we'd appreciate it if you shared us around.
You can find us on YouTube,
BitChute,
Facebook,
Twitter,
Patreon,
and Maker Support.
Thanks for stopping by.